Now, 3 years since Russia's full-scale invasion, Ukraine remains at the center of a conflict reshaping global security. As the war grinds on, questions about peace talks, U.S. diplomatic efforts, and Ukraine's long-term securities persist. Meanwhile, Poland continues to be a crucial ally, offering military, economic, and diplomatic support. Joining us today on TVP World to discuss Ukraine's path forward is Vasyl Bodnar, Ambassador of Ukraine to Poland. Hello, sir, and welcome to TVP World.
Good evening. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
So, Your Excellency, as we mark the third anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, how would you personally characterize the current prospect for peace?
It is still too far to speak about the peace. We are now at the stage when we are keeping the line on the fronts, physical fronts, and we are also discussing with our partners how to start these talks, on what conditions, and how we will be available on what conditions to talk with Russians, which are invaders to Ukraine. I would like to remind that it was Russia who started the war. It is Russia who is killing Ukrainian civilians, and it is Russia who is making a lot of criminal acts against Ukraine. So we need to be united together with the Western world to compose the common sense on punishing the aggressor and creating the conditions for just and fair peace. And that's our task. And we are also discussing these ideas with our American colleagues.
Right. I think just and fair peace is very, very crucial here. Of course, a lot of people are pushing for a simple peace, but without a just one, without holding the aggressor accountable, who's to say that they won't just regroup and do it all again? So from your more diplomatic perspective, what conditions would Ukraine consider essential for the meaningful peace negotiation?
Let's look at the history, what we have in our history. When the Nazi Germany was punished and the perpetrators of criminal acts have been also brought to responsibility, the war didn't appear on the European scene for more than 60, 70 years. So Germany was a calm and economically developed country and was a model of economic integration in Europe. Nevertheless, we have Russia, who have been conducting crimes from a collapse of the Soviet Union in different countries and have never been punished for their illegal activities. So first of all, justice means punishment of the aggressor. It means not to appease him, not to appease Putin, not to appease Russian aggressive policy, but to stop them, pull back, and restore territorial integrity of Ukraine. It's our primary goal, but also brought the perpetrator to responsibility, this or that way, tomorrow or the day after tomorrow or in a year, but it shouldn't be forgotten. Otherwise, our sacrifice will be for vain. And the third story is about the reconstruction of Ukraine and who will pay for that. So Russia did a lot of destructions in Ukraine and continue to bombard Ukrainian civilian objects, industrial capacities, and also electricity supplies lines. So it means it should be reconstructed, and Russia should pay for that. So the easiest way is to take the Russian frozen assets and to use them for reconstruction of Ukrainian territory. And we should have the common ground together with our Western alliance on this, how to push Russia to pay for their retributions, actually.
Right, and well, one of the more controversial events that took place recently is the talk between the United States and Russia, which occurred without Ukraine's direct participation. Do you think this is going to affect Ukraine's position in this potential negotiation in achieving what you just mentioned?
The United States are a key and crucial partner for recent decades. So we are very closely tied on the democratic changes in the transformation of our economy and in close support from the United States in this ongoing war of aggression of Russia against Ukraine. So and we also need to talk with the American partners, and we are doing that to achieve a compromise solution on the deal which we actually proposed. It was the peace plan or the victory plan of President Zelensky, who proposed the idea of working together on investments in our natural resources, including these rare metal materials, whatever they're called. But nevertheless, it is also the matter of agreement between two allied countries, between Ukraine and the United States, but also we should include Europe here. Poland is a crucial player in the European Union, and it is a close ally of the United States. And we are very grateful to Poland for all the efforts to help Ukraine, to support in our conversations with the new administration of Trump, and also in the efforts which have been paid in recent hours, I would say, because Minister Sikorsky is already in the States, he already conducted negotiations with Secretary of State Mark Rubio, President Duda today is also in the States. He will hold talks with Americans as well. And we believe that the Polish side will be very active and promotive of our ideas, how to settle the disputes and how to continue our talks and move forward.
All right, now there's another recent calls which is quite controversial in the various quarters, including even from President Donald Trump, about Ukraine holding elections. Can you help address this in the practical security challenges for organizing election during an ongoing conflict?
Look, we would be the first who would like to organize the elections according to the democratic procedures, because we are the democratic country and we need to have elections. But how to organize them if the 20% of the country is occupied? We have 1.8 thousand kilometers of the front line. We still have flying Iranian drones and Russian missiles everywhere. So millions of soldiers are on the front line. They couldn't vote. They just take the rifles in their hands. So, and 7 million Ukrainians are abroad. How you could organize it physically? It's still a big issue. So if you would have a good advice and assistance, let's talk about that. But we have organized a couple of surveys in Ukraine, and majority of Ukrainians, including the opposition, said that today elections are controversial for us. And it's impossible not only from the physical point of view or judicial, which is actually the law and constitutions forbid it, but it is also dangerous from the point of view of national unity. Elections every time the political fight.
Right.
And to divide Ukrainian society for some political leaders other than the existing one, it means not to create the democratic procedures, but to create the unstable situation which is on the hand of Russians. We wouldn't like to create more favorable conditions for the Russian side. We would like to disperse Ukrainian society, to feel us weaker, and to use the situation for the continuing attacks on us.
Right, that's a very good point. Election usually comes polarization, and that's perhaps lasting.
But it's natural in democracy.
Exactly.
In the peacetime.
Mm-hmm. And we don't really need that at the moment right now, this type of polarization. Now, you just mentioned earlier also about the discussion including rare earth minerals. Can you tell us a little bit about what's the process right now? What do we know?
So it's going well. We have a good dialogue on the level of our foreign minister, Andrei Sybiha, and Mark Rubio. From American side, we have also some discussions on the level of head of our presidential office with his vis-a-vis. And also, I believe that in the nearest maybe days we would find a ground for the settlement of the agreement and to set the conditions for the agreement, which should be beneficial for both sides. It's not possible to impose some kind of conditions which are not favorable for Ukrainian economy, which is also suffering already from the war. But we need to create conditions for the future development and reconstruction of Ukraine, also using this opportunity. So we need to keep the lines open for the conversations. We need to dispute on the conditions of this agreement, and I believe we would find a ground together.
All right, so a lot of things to balance and juggle there, and hopefully that goes well. Going to what you mentioned, of course, Ukraine's ally not just being United States, but also Poland and broader European support for Ukraine's position is very important as well. How do you see Polish European support for Ukraine position in any future peace negotiations? How do you think that the contribution of Europe in terms of these talks will help Ukraine going forward?
The war is going on in Europe. Mm-hmm. And Ukraine is a European state, so we have a very huge support from Poland, from other EU countries, and we believe that the EU should be at the table of negotiations fully and engaged in the process from the very beginning. But I'm still cautious about these speculations, which is not the truth. We have no even a ground for the peace talks because we didn't know the conditions. We didn't know what the sides could propose for the negotiation table. We need to compose the strong stance and to impose peace through strength, not through weakness. And if someone would like to weaken the Ukrainian side, it's a mistake. And also for the European side, which is also supporting Ukraine in many areas, and hopefully will continue to do that in the more broader way. Plus, Europe is endangered by Russian aggression. Many European countries have borders with Russia, and they feel threatened because from their history, they have this experience that Russia, every time when there are some turbulences in the world, tried to use these geopolitical conditions to attack them, occupy, or interfere into their affairs. So I wouldn't say that today Estonia, Latvia, or even Norwegian is the Norwegian country is free from the danger from the Russian aggression. And if we will be weak before even the negotiation table, Russia will feel it and will try to use disagreements inside the EU or between the allies in transatlantic against all of us. They will try to play us separately, and that's the biggest problem.
Right.
Plus, what is necessary to mention about the restoration or reconstruction of European defense industries? It is very necessary to strengthen the capabilities of Europe to be more resilient, to be more strong in the defense terms, and also be more independent. Because if European defense industry will not be developed well, if anything happens, only missiles or ammunition will be enough for 1 week of war. And Russians are prepared well for that.
Right.
Already the experience fighting Ukraine, yes, they are not very successful in our soil, but they could repeat it in somewhere else where the weaker country exists. So that's the bell for the whole European security. The OEC will not protect any country. And discussions with the bear which would like to eat you will have nothing to do with reality.
All right. Thank you so much for your input and insight. Really appreciate it. Thanks for being with us on TVP World.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for tuning into this edition of World News Tonight. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.